thank you so much for the opportunity to meet friend Mr. Alfred Dezois. I'm meeting him after so many years. I met him in 2017. 2018. After that, I was arrested in India after I was returning from Geneva, and my passport was confiscated because I spoke in UNHRC. And I had the pleasure of meeting you there, and it's a really wonderful thing that you uphold the right to self-determination, and I keep following your tweets, and that you are voicing for so many oppressed people across the globe. That's a great thing, and thank you so much for supporting the cause. And then meanwhile, I'd like to express my happiness to share the dais with comrades from the Tamil and other friends of the from the Europe. And in this 12th year anniversary of Tamil genocide, and I would like to put our argument, especially the way that May 17 looks at the issue is that what happened in Sri Lanka to Elam Tamil is a genocide, and we don't have any doubts about it. And even Bertrand Russell's People Tribunal, declared that it is a genocide. And of course, if international community have to look into that angle, and have to reject the Sri Lankan constitution, because the Sri Lankan constitution is a unitary constitution, which didn't recognize the other ethnicity of Tamils into the construction of the constitution in a democratic sense. So we have to look at the democratic process that happened in Sri Lanka from 1948 till the mid of 70s. How Sri Lanka progressed in creating a constitution for itself. Was there any meaningful democratic process is being put forth by the ruling elite in the Sri Lanka, and how Tamils have dealt with the Sri Lankan constitution establishment. So and at the time the Sri Lankan constitution was put forward, and Tamil section rejected altogether and went for a kind of demand to the Tamil population. When there was an election was conducted, they conducted the election based on the demand that Tamils have the right to self-determination, and Tamil Elam is our motherland, and we will not compromise on the rights of Tamil Elam. So this was put forward before the Tamil Elam population, and people voted more than 97% to the demand of the Tamil parties. So in a way that it is kind of a referendum, or it's kind of a democratic process where Tamil people have expressed what is their democratic aspirations. When the nations being formed on the basis of the people's demand, then automatically Tamil Elam should have been born or been accepted by the international community, which is not happened till date. So what LTT fought on the demand of Tamil Elam is nothing but a democratic demand that put forward by the people of Tamil Elam. The people of Tamil Elam looked at the self-determination angle, and they demanded that is their birthright. So what LTT did was, once the Tamil people declared that Sri Lanka is not their country, and their constitution cannot be applicable to the Tamil people, it is a duty of the Tamil people to remove the Sri Lankan constitutional establishment from the Tamil lands. It is a democratic process. Once I don't recognize your government, once we don't want to be a colony of your unitary state, then it is our duty to remove you. So that is what the Tamil people were been fighting for the past 40 years, because this struggle moved to the military front, not because of the Tamil people, it is because of the international forces and the Sri Lankan forces. They were the people who pushed this struggle to the armed conflict. And we know the recent documents that has been revealed by some of the British journalists, that keeny meeny services of the mercenary forces being sent by the British government killed more than 5,000 Tamil youths in the early 80s. The shocking report reveals that how the international society is involved in this particular struggle and converted into a full-scale military or armed conflict. So it is the responsibility of the international community that turned a peaceful protest into an armed conflict. Tamils has a history of not involving in violent struggle or armed struggle, be it in Malaysia or be it in Burma, where they were sent as laborers. They were not indulged in it. Be it in South Africa too, Tamil people were very much in a democratic, peaceful protest. The Tamil people in the South Africa joined hands with the Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, and they were very much part of the peaceful struggle, and they inspired the Mahatma Gandhi on that front. It is none other. Mahatma Gandhi himself wrote on that. Tamil people also inspired him to go for a kind of a peaceful protest, and Tamil people are always have expressed their willingness to go for a peaceful way of expressing their demands. It is in their history. They never indulged in the kind of a violent struggle, and so the violent struggle was pushed onto the Tamil people. That is what our leader Prabhakaran also quoted, that this armed struggle pushed on us. If Buddhist state practiced a peace, if they practice the real Buddhism, then there is no need for us to take up arms. So that is the situation. So what we are looking at now, we look at after 12 years of war, when the LTT declared on May 17th of 2009 that they are going to silence their guns, they silence their arms, then not a single bullet was fired onto the Sri Lankan government. Tamil people are very much disciplined in their promises, in their way of taking forward their demands. In the past 12 years, despite so many oppressions, despite so many atrocities, despite so many promises that have been broken by the international community, Tamil people stick to the non-violent movement. They are very much practicing democratic format. It is the Sri Lankan government that is pushing, they're practicing in a kind of a military strategy. They've sent hundreds of thousands of Sinhalese soldiers onto the Tamil region, and again, international community pushing that military situation, military conflict situation onto the Tamil region. It is not the Tamil people; it is the international community that is pushing the military oppression over the Tamil people. What they promised in 2015 in the United Nations Human Rights Council is that the demilitarization will take place. Whatever the lands that is being taken by the military will be given back. The people, the political prisoners that were locked in the prisons by the Sri Lankan government will be released. The details of the missing person will be notified to the respective families. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. So who broke all these promises? It is the international community. They hold the responsibility. And still after 12 years, we have to look at, we are looking at the democratic process to find a solution. We are coming to the United Nations to find a solution. Yet we were not promised the basic democratic or natural justice processes, or the promises that were given by the Western government. It's not the promise that we've been asked. What we are asking is a right to self-determination. Give us a land, we'll protect ourselves. But that was not honored. So the promises, demilitarization promises, are given by the Western forces, especially America and Britain and so many other countries, European countries. And that was not honored, and we still keep dragging the situation for so long years. A child that was so young, and in the end of the final days of the genocidal war, now is an adult, is a young man. He saw the atrocity in his own eyes. He saw his family being massacred. And what do you want that young man meant to do to find a solution for the injustices? Still, that youth, the students in the Tamil region, stick to a peaceful protest. They were marching in the streets. They are raising the slogans. They are going all out in a democratic format. Yet the international community failed to give us honorable solutions. And we also asking critical questions on that. how United Nations Human Rights Commission approached this issue. Initially, they were proposing hybrid courts and things like that. I've asked the question at that time, how come hybrid courts can be applied to situations like in Sri Lanka? You applied this hybrid court in the Cambodia case and as well as East Timor case. As well as when you look at a Cambodia case, it is not an ethnic nationality issue. It is a genocide that happened by it is a state terrorism, and that resulted in a genocide in its own people. So it is not the kind of a nationality struggle that happened in Cambodia. When you look at the East Timor, yes, it is a nationality struggle against the Indonesian government, but sovereignty of East Timor people were ensured. It was ensured. There is a right to self-determination was ensured. Then only they went for a hybrid court. In the hybrid court, the East Timor people, the victims, have a rightful place to look for, seek justice in authoritative sense. But that was not ensured when come to the Sri Lankan government. If you look at the similar cases in 2009, there were three important cases at that time. One is a Tamil genocide, the other was an Israel attack on Gaza, and the South Sudan massacre. How international community approached it. The South Sudan case, they proposed it as a crime of genocide and crimes against humanity and war crimes committed on the South Sudan people, and they went for a referendum. And what happened to the Middle East conflict in the Israel and Palestine? They've asked for an kind of an investigation onto both sides. It is on the Israel military forces as well as the Hamas. And when it is on the recommendations of that investigation of the commissions. I think it's a Goldstone Commission. I think what happened in the Sri Lanka, despite Charles Petrie's report on the failures of the UN as well as the failures of the Sri Lankan government, that was very well documented. The hybrid court was proposed, and they were asking for both sides need to be investigated. What I'm asking is that if you want to investigate on both sides, my question is that, do you recognize LTT as a legitimate or legal entity? If you recognize LTT as a legitimate legal entity that can be put under investigation, yes, we will welcome it, but we also equally ask that, will you recognize the de facto state of a Tamil Eelam to be given back to the Tamil representatives? Because it was recognized under the International Peace Pact that has started in the Oslo. Whether LTT was there or not is out of question. LTT was a Tamil representative. The Tamil representation. Tamils are there. LTT may not be there, but de facto state is still holds good if peace talks is hold. The agreement is still holds good. What we are asking is our right on that land, on our land, on the de facto state. We have established a de facto state, and we have all the right to control our de facto state. So if Hamas has been driven out of Gaza, well, that doesn't mean that Gaza can be occupied by the Israeli government? No. The same way, Tamil Eelam cannot be occupied by the Sri Lankan military forces. The occupation that is happening now is nothing but an illegal occupation that need to be driven out. It need to be given immediately to the Tamil Eelam people. Otherwise, it is a grave injustice that is happening in South Asia. What I would like to put forward is that if one injustice is not questioned, then injustice will happen everywhere. What happened in Tamil Eelam in 2009 happened in 2010 and 11 in Burma, in Kachin's area. That same thing is being followed now in the Burma. That was happened in the Rohingyas in the past. In the 2011 and 12 and 13, we saw with the Rohingyas. Now it is happening to the whole of Burma. And that is what happening in India. India also, undemocratic fascist government is systematically suppressing the voices. So this is this state terrorism become an international phenomenon because we didn't stop the Sri Lankan onslaught. We didn't punish the criminals, that those who are running the Sri Lankan government. We didn't put them before the international court. So that has been now legitimately recognized that this is the format. Let the state go on behind the insurgency and let there be a collateral damage. It is let us call it as a Sri Lankan model. I want to bring it to a kind notice to the people, to the listeners, that after 2009 in India, where the extreme left movement is on to the struggle with the Indian government, the Indian government declared that they are going to follow a Sri Lankan counterinsurgency model, in which case they said they will be sending the huge force to encircle the aborigines, or would like to say tribals in the central of Indian government in India. Those tribals will be encircled by the huge military forces as well as the air force, and they will be eliminating the tribals as well as the insurgents. This was put forward by the Indian government. They say they called us as a Sri Lankan model. So you have made a Sri Lankan model as a successful model to eliminate the insurgency or the terrorism that you brand, whatever things that you want to brand. So this model become a legitimate model which need to be questioned, which need to be morally questioned, which need to be stopped, and Tamil people need to be liberated from the clutches of the Sri Lankan government, and the Western government's deception should be stopped and should be questioned internationally. And that is something that we have to do immediately. Otherwise, this state terrorism will spread. This will become a model. I mean, that is what I would like to put forward here. What we saw in Burma, what we seeing in India, the same thing that happens in Philippines, the same thing happens in elsewhere. So we should stop this. Otherwise, this will threaten the democracy in the world. So that is with that, I would like to conclude that we will be looking at independent Tamil, a sovereign Tamil, the right to self-determination of the Tamils be upheld, and there need to be international impartial investigation on the crime of genocide on the Sri Lankan government, and that need to be that will be the only and final solution for the lasting issue, and Tamil people can protect themselves. So we will respect the sovereignty of the Tamil people. Thanks a lot. Tamil will be the final solution. That is the stand of the Masonic movement.